before the bunker-busting bombs, before the artificial intelligence assassinations, and before the threat of World War III, the two greatest enemies of the modern Middle East didn't even exist under the names we know them by today. For over 2,000 years, the Western world knew a massive, unstoppable Middle Eastern powerhouse as Persia. That name was actually given by the ancient Greeks. But the land itself, it had seen everything. Empires rising, falling, again and again, from the Medes to Cyrus the Great's Achaemenid Empire, then Alexander the Great. The Islamic conquests, the Mongols, the Safavids, and finally, the Pahlavi dynasty. But here's the thing. The people living there never called it Persia. They always called it Iran, which literally means the land of the Aryans. And honestly, I don't even know who first wrote this version of history.
I am inevitable.
But one thing is clear. Back then, there was no country called Iran, the way we understand it today. It wasn't until March 21st, 1935, on the Persian New Year, that Reza Shah Pahlavi made a bold decision. He officially asked the entire world to stop using the name Persia and start calling the country Iran. A single name for a unified, modern nation. Meanwhile, over 1,000 miles away, the land we now call Israel was something else entirely. It was under British control, known as Mandatory Palestine. And then, on May 14th, 1948, everything changed. A Zionist leader, David Ben-Gurion, stood up and declared a new country, an independent state. But interestingly, they didn't choose the name Palestine. They believed it would create confusion with a future Arab state. So instead, they reached back into ancient history and revived a name, Israel. Two ancient legacies, two modern identities, and a collision course that would one day bring the entire world to the edge of collapse. But the real story doesn't start here. It begins when everything changed. Today, when we see Iran and Israel as bloodthirsty enemies, did you know that before 1979, these two countries were actually best friends? A friendship where Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, trained Iran's secret police, and in return, Iran supplied oil to Israel. But then, what happened that a single revolution pushed this friendship into the fire of a possible World War III? Why did Hezbollah enter this war? And what exactly is America gaining from all of this? Today, I will take you through this shadow war, from its beginning to April 2026. All the top secret operations and geopolitics that were hidden from the world. Between the 1950s and 1970s, Iran was ruled by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. At that time, Israel was surrounded by hostile Arab nations and needed oil to survive. On the other hand, the Shah of Iran wanted to stay in America's good books.
Why would the President of the United States pay attention to that lobby?
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
And strengthen his military. As part of this exchange, in 1968, a secret pipeline was built, known as the Eilat-Ashkelon pipeline. Through this, Iran secretly supplied oil to Israel, which was then sent to Europe. Their friendship was so deep that in 1977, both countries signed a secret agreement called Project Flower, a $1.2 billion deal to develop advanced missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Israel's Mossad and America's CIA also trained Iran's secret police, known as Savak. But if everything was going so well, then why did a regime change happen in Iran? The answer does not begin in 1979, but in 1953. In 1953, Iran's Democratic Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized the British oil company. He wanted Iran's oil wealth to stay within Iran. This decision angered both America and Britain. They launched Operation Ajax. The CIA and MI6 created unrest and removed Mossadegh from power. The Shah was brought back to rule again, but this time as a ruler aligned with the West. He lived a luxurious life, while common people faced poverty and inequality. Because of Operation Ajax, deep anger grew inside the people of Iran against America and the West. Finally, in 1979, that anger exploded. The Islamic Revolution took place. The Shah fled the country, and Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. One of his first decisions was to shut down the Israeli embassy and hand it over to Palestine, and declare America as Iran's biggest enemy. Now, you might be wondering, where did Hezbollah come into this story? And what did it gain? In 1982, when Israel invaded Lebanon, Shia groups there decided to resist. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps took advantage of this moment and helped create Hezbollah. This was part of Iran's strategy called forward defense. The idea was simple: fight your enemy, not on your own land, but near their borders, so your own country remains safe. In return, Hezbollah received funding, around $70 to $100 million every year, along with advanced military training and rocket technology. Because of this support, today Hezbollah has become extremely powerful in Lebanon, almost functioning like its own government and army. So why is America involved in this conflict? There are three main reasons. First, oil and the Strait of Hormuz. Around 20% of the world's oil passes through this route. Controlling this choke point means controlling global energy. Second, the security of Israel. Israel is America's strongest ally in the Middle East, and it will not let it fall.
America stands with you in firmly opposing Iran's nuclear weapons ambition.
Third, fear of a nuclear Iran. If Iran develops nuclear weapons, the balance of power in the region could shift completely.
For the sake of peace, the world must not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.